Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, November 28th. A lot to talk about this morning. A very active weather pattern across much of the nation. We have 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts likely today in the I-95 corridor region between D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. A strong low-pressure system sitting and spinning over Maine is combining with strong high pressure over the Ohio Valley to produce a tight pressure gradient in the northeast U.S., in the mid-Atlantic region, and again, that should result in 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, especially during the midday and early afternoon hours. Basically windy all day today. The winds will relax somewhat tonight, and tomorrow, then a weak disturbance could throw a couple of p.m. rain showers into the I-95 corridor region on Friday. More important storm system comes this weekend with yet another soaking rain event likely for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City from later Saturday into Sunday. Looking ahead to next week looks very interesting again as wintry scene probably returns in much of the mid-Atlantic region, northeast U.S. Lots of cold air around next week and perhaps a couple different storm systems to deal with. Yes, the threat of snow should return next week. Before we get to the current weather situation, I just want to show this kind of interesting plot that I saw yesterday of snowfall in Philadelphia during the months of March to November, that 9-month time period from the end of the last winter season to the beginning of this winter season. And we actually had a couple of snowstorms during March of last year as the snowy season extended into the early part of the spring last year. And of course we had that snowfall in November, and the combination of the two, the March snowfall and the early season snowfall this year, actually puts Philadelphia very impressive totals here in that 9-month period. Only one other time period going all the way back to the 1890s has seen more snow in Philadelphia between the months of March and November. Again, we're just looking at that 9-month period from the end of last winter season to the beginning of this winter season. And again, with the combination of the snowfall last March and the combination of the early snowfall this November, this particular 9-month period is on the record books as the second snowiest in Philadelphia, going all the way back to the 1890s. Pretty impressive indeed. Well, talking about that tight pressure gradient, here's the latest surface analysis chart from NOAA's Mesoscale Analysis website. Low pressure over Maine, and it has run into a block in the atmosphere. To the north of here, there's a high latitude blocking, and it's really slowed down. It's advanced to the north and east. In fact, it's kind of retrograded a little bit to the south and west over the last several hours. But between that strong low pressure system over Maine and high pressure out over the Ohio Valley, we have a very tight pressure gradient producing northwest winds, and again, gusts will reach 50 miles per hour in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City today, especially focused on the midday and early afternoon hours. This tight pressure gradient will begin to relax tonight, still windy tonight, and then certainly a decrease during the day on Thursday, but still colder than normal conditions. Meanwhile, the radar showing up here with some snow showers, snow bands up across New York State. Certainly can see some snow moving into the higher elevations of northeastern central Pennsylvania. Maybe even a couple of flurries make it all the way down into the I-95 corridor. Again, the big weather story today, 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. Well, let's take a look at the loop of the latest several radar images. Again, low pressure over Maine, sitting and spinning in that region, snow across the northern part of New England, and all of this is in the form of snow bands riding along those northwest winds from northwest to southeast. Certainly can see some snow showers into northeastern Pennsylvania, for example, and again, cannot rule out a few flurries all the way down into the I-95 corridor region, at least between Philadelphia and New York City. But again, upstream here across New York State, some heavy Great Lakes type snow bands setting up here, and all of this riding along those very, very strong northwest winds. Well, let's take a look at last night's 6E GFS model run, and we'll move ahead in 6-hour increments. This morning, low pressure over Maine, a very tight pressure gradient over the mid-Atlantic region, 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts out of the northwest. Again, a lot of Great Lakes snow across New York State, interior New England, maybe even a few snow showers make it all the way down into east central Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, a few flurries in the I-95 corridor region. Right now, notice, relatively dry over California, a little bit of moisture in the interior section, but they have a lot of moisture headed their way. Heavy rains coming to California along the coast and heavy snows inland. Let's move forward here. Continuation of tight pressure gradient throughout much of the day today here in the northeastern U.S. and mid-Atlantic region. Here's that high pressure system that is combining with that low over Maine. By tonight, the high starts to edge in, has a little bit more of an influence tonight. The winds will relax some, and certainly a noticeable reduction in the winds on Thursday. Still colder than normal, still relatively dry conditions as high pressure moves in. Now look out across California. Heavy rain along the interior, along the coastal sections, and heavy snows along the Sierra Nevadas. Sierra Nevadas could see 2 to 3 feet of snow out of this system over the next few days. Could be 2 or 3 inches of rain along some coastal sections, somewhere between San Francisco, Fresno, for example, in that area. So what was a dry pattern is certainly evolving into a wet pattern for California here. Let's move forward here. Now, as we get into the end of the work week, a weak disturbance over the Ohio Valley can throw a couple of rain showers into the I-95 corridor region late Friday. Nothing significant at all. But then by the weekend, another strong storm system pulls into the middle part of the country and heads towards the northeast and produces more soaking rain for D.C., Philadelphia, New York City later Saturday, especially Saturday night into the day on Sunday. Not too different from the way it looked last weekend, where we had rain on Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic region, snow across the Central Plains. Same kind of setup repeating this weekend with perhaps the same kind of areas, Kansas City across Iowa to southeastern Wisconsin, for example. Rain here over the weekend in the Mid-Atlantic region. And then we get into next week, and lots of potential for next week. We have a whole lot of cold air that will start to filter in. Certainly looks like a cold week. One storm system potentially in the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. Again, it could be snow, sleet, rain, and then we have another storm system. I'm moving fast here towards the latter part of next week, and yet another one on the heels of that. So a stormy pattern continues. Very active weather. Again, the big weather word today in the Mid-Atlantic region, very strong northwest winds, perhaps gusting up to 50 miles per hour. So that's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.